Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the playoffs episode of the Ravens Call. I'm your host, Tyler Cameron. If you haven't already or don't know what this podcast consists of, you can go to my 1 minute intro video or just follow along as we get into the nitty gritty of the wild card playoffs going into the divisional round of next week. This podcast is available on Spotify, YouTube, as well as Apple Podcasts. You can find links to all those in each of the streaming services or look up the Ravens Call podcast on Instagram. On that note, hope everyone is having a great Wednesday and ready to listen to some exciting NFL and Baltimore Ravens news. All right. So, another great week going into the first round, the wild card rounds. Kansas City and Detroit both got byes, so they will not be playing this week as they're looking up into their opponent. And so the first three games on the docket were all FC games, so we'll talk about those. I'm going to skip over our game. Hint for anyone who's not part of the Ravens fan base, we won. So that was a good sign. I'll talk more in depth about that a little later. But going on to the first game, where, I said it, I thought the Chargers should run away with this game. And they clearly should have. They had 6 points. CJ Stroud and the offense, they can't do anything. I don't think that Houston even has the offense, but the Chargers just kind of let him back, and it was pretty easy at that point. But yeah, it was bad. So let's get into it. For the Chargers, Justin Herbert has thrown 3 interceptions the entire season. He threw 4 in this game. He went 14 of 32, 242 yards, a touchdown, and 4 interceptions, as well as 4 sacks. This team is normally really good. Their offense line's really good. And just a bunch of tipped balls that ended up getting picked. I don't really see it as Houston had the best defense. And it sucks for me because as a Ravens fan, I really wanted the Chargers to play the Broncos. I wanted the Chargers to play the Chiefs because I feel like they'll have a better outing. Now the Houston Texans are going to be facing the Chiefs where they will lose horribly. I don't want them to. I'd love them to win, but they will lose horribly. And then, Chiefs look like gods at the AFC Championship game. So that'll be tough. But anyway, Chargers run game was terrible. Lad McConkey was the only one who put up any sort of fight. 9 receptions, 197 yards, a touchdown. Will Driscoll dropped a ball that ended up being a pick 6. Quentin Johnson, probably one of the worst draft wide receivers in that class. 5 targets, no receptions. Just a bunch of tipped balls that, went to the other team. But, good momentum win for the Texans. CJ Stroud, 22 of 32, 282 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Mixon finally had a good run game, 25 carries, 106 yards, a touchdown. And then Collins, 7 receptions, 122 yards, and a touchdown. In all honesty, good game from their stars, but against a well-powered playoff team, this Texans team doesn't have a shot. So, they had no opportunities, really. The points were handed to them by the 4 interceptions. They all ended up being in the red zone territory, and they were able to score. So, terrible win good win for the Texans. It's going to help them a little bit with momentum, but not enough because, when you play the Chiefs, playing the Chiefs and the refs, so you're not going to win that matchup if you're not a strong team. Chargers, very disappointing loss. They're not in the best place. I think that there was only one team that lost that can fully, without a doubt, say their season was a success, but we'll get into that. Now we're going to go to the Sunday games. We're going to skip over the Ravens. We're going to go on to the Sunday games. So the morning game was the Broncos and Bills. And the Bills put a shellacking on the Broncos. No, not really a shocker there. Just weren't able to get anything done. A lot of rookies, a lot of people that it was just very tough for them. Denver scored first and then just weren't able to do anything else. Josh Allen had a good game, 20 of 26, 272, two touchdowns. James Cook, 120 yards rushing. Broncos just couldn't stop the run, and that's what caused them to kind of, be out of this game. But good game from the Bills. Bills won, so they are going to be playing the Baltimore Ravens at home for them, which they're 8-0 at home. So that is a very tough game for both teams, but it's going to be a fun one. Now, for the Broncos, not the best way to go out, but at the same time, too, with the dead cap they have, with the limited, free agent signings that they could have, they were able to turn it around in the draft. They were able to get some young, healthy guys that really show that this team can contend here in the near future if given the right free agents, if given the right system. Because Bo Nix has looked amazing all year. Sutton, probably his best career, career season so far. There's some work to be done on the offensive end, just, needing to sign some good running backs and a really good tight end. But there's a lot of potential there. Denver is the only team that lost this weekend that can clearly say, really good season, wasn't the expectation. They were supposed to go 2-15. So for them to be in the playoffs is really good. So good, bright future ahead of them. A lot of the other teams, not so much. But another good win by the Bills. It's going to be a fun one. So for the AFC Championship games, I know I haven't talked about the Ravens, but the Ravens won. I will go over their stats a little bit here in a little bit, but it will be the Texans and the Chiefs and the Ravens versus the Bills. Now, those two games are going to be huge. Obviously, they're divisional games. I don't peg the Texans to stand any chance towards the Chiefs, but hey, maybe we get lucky and the Texans just do that. The Ravens and Bills will be probably the game of the year. For me as a Ravens fan, I'm a little more confident in my team versus the Bills than the Steelers. Now, I'm not saying the Bills are a pushover. I'm not saying that the Steelers are better than the Bills. It's just from a knowledge standpoint. Like, the Steelers know us. Mike Tomlin is a far better coach than the Bills coach, to where he knows us. He understands the game a little more. His defense is a little more locked in than what the Bills are. So it gives us a little more, confidence, I guess, to say. But again, the Bills are the top team in the AFC for a reason. So it's going to be a great game between the Ravens and the Bills, and I'm very excited to see what goes on from there. But now on to the Packers and the Eagles. Now, this game was very sloppy and, to me, very terrible. Jordan Love looked terrible. 3 interceptions. Josh Jacobs did all he could. No one was able to catch the ball, or really do anything effective. So, they were just, it wasn't even that the defense was that good for the Eagles. It was that Jordan Love was just not making smart passes. This team, the Packers had a shot at this game. The Eagles offense did not play well. I mean, Jalen Hurts threw for 131 yards. Saquon Barkley had 119 yards, but there wasn't much to be done. They were able to get the win. So a very tough game to watch. Good game for the Eagles. The Eagles are now in a good spot for them, but it was, they really need to work on some stuff because, the next team's not going to be so willy-nilly with the ball. They're a little more experienced. Now, we're going to go on to Washington and Tampa Bay. So, Washington won this game off a late game field goal. It was crazy. This is the only team that won on the road. Rookie quarterback played really well. But I think it was more, what really sealed it was the Baker Mayfield fumble that really cost the Tampa Bay the game. But Jaden Daniels, 25-35, 268, and 2 touchdowns. Really good performance from him. They don't really have a run game. Scary Terry and Yami Brown were just clutch with both 89 yards and both having touchdowns. Really good performances from them. Tampa Bay was playing well, but that fumble cost them to where Washington was able to score a touchdown, and then kind of from there it all fell apart. But Baker Mayfield had a good game, 15 to 18, 185 yards, 2 touchdowns. Bucky Irving ran for 77 yards. Mike Evans had another great game against Lattimore, 7 receptions, 92 yards, and a touchdown. I think Tampa Bay wishes that things could have gone a little differently. Defense was playing well, but it is what it is. Washington was able to pull out the win, so Washington is going to go to Detroit and play against the number 1 seeded Detroit, whereas the Vikings and the Rams will play the Eagles, whoever won that game. Well, the Rams won that game, and to tell you that it was close would be laughable. The Minnesota Vikings do what they always do. They play terrible in the playoffs. And Sam Darnold, he's a guy who he's looking for a new contract. He's looking for maybe a place where he starts being the starting quarterback for Minnesota? Is it where, he's able to go to a new team and be a starting quarterback? After this game, I really think that it diminished his contract extension or where he plays next season. The past 2 games, he has not looked the best, and this game was one of it. 25 of 40, 245 yards, touchdown, interception. He was sacked 9 times, a playoff tying record. 9 times. And Rams defense is playing okay, but they're not the greatest of defenses. So it was kind of crazy to see that. Weren't able to run the ball. Jordan Addison wasn't really there. Justin Jefferson, 5 receptions, 58 yards. It was just a bad game. They didn't look anywhere near like they could be a part of this game. The Rams punched him in the mouth pretty early on. Matthew Stafford, 19 to 27, 209, 2 touchdowns. Really good game from him. Kyron Williams was able to run the ball when he needed to with 16 carries, 76 yards. Higbee coming back from that ACL tear, 58 yards. Puko's there. Cooper Kupp, he's just kind of there. I think it's because all the pressure is put onto Cooper, and Puka's kind of getting that one-on-one separation. But yeah, it was a bad game from Minnesota here, and so Minnesota's got a lot of work to do in this offseason. Rams are going to go play the Eagles, but we'll go over those games a little bit later. But that is it for the NFL portion of the games. Now we're going to go on to the team that has huge momentum going into next week. The team you know and love, the Baltimore Ravens. So this was probably one of those games where I was thinking it was going to be a lot closer than it was. I was very nervous going into this game just because Mike Tomlin is so good against us. And, we played really well last time, but, it was back and forth a little bit. This game was not. We did pretty much the same thing we did last time. We were able to run all over them. But let's get into it. Start of this game, Pittsburgh could do nothing. Russell Wilson, 20, 29, 270, and 2 touchdowns. Some things to fix on the defensive end. Brandon Stevens for the Ravens needs to get his shit together. Because you are the only guy on the defense that anyone is worried about right now. Nate Wiggins is locking it up pretty well. Ardarius Washington is playing amazing. Kyle Hamilton's playing amazing. Marlon Humphrey is all pro. You used to be the guy. What happened to you? You are the weakest link. If you don't pick it up, guess what? Your ass is not going to be on this team next year. There are a lot better cornerbacks that would love to come to play for the Baltimore. And you are easily replaceable, big dog. So wake up. But back to the Steelers. They were ran for 29 yards. We were able to lock up the run. George Pickens, 5 receptions, 87 yards, a touchdown. Had a good catch for a touchdown. Van Jefferson, 37 yards and touchdown. He was able to catch a touchdown just due to Brandon Stevens just getting cooked. But the defense wasn't really there. Some people were making some business decisions. towards it. But I do want to direct your attention before we get into the Ravens section of things. Is if you look at the Steelers defense, I know you probably can't see it. There is no TJ Watt. TJ Watt did not have a single stat. He had no tackles, he had no sacks, no QB hits, nothing. He felt like he wasn't a part of this game. And that goes to our right tackle, Rosengart. He played amazing. I am so happy we drafted him. He's one of those guys that, you're a little weary of some rookies, but he has played amazing. So kudos to him. We need a big game from you next week too, but really good start. Really happy that you guys um, were able to do that. You did that against Myles Garrett, and then you were able to do it against TJ Watt. So good on you. But let's go over the Ravens. Lamar Jackson, 16 to 21, 175 yards, 2 touchdowns. Really good game from him. He just threw it when he needed to. But the big MVP of the game was Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry, 26 carries, 186 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Lamar Jackson, 15 carries, 81 yards. They had a really good game from Lamar and Derrick. A really good game. And that's without Zay Flowers. We're hoping Zay Flowers can come back next week because that is something that is really much needed. Having him is just the versatile that people got to watch out for him. So, but likely good game. Mark Andrews as well. Bateman caught a touchdown. Justice Hill caught a touchdown at the end of the half to put us up 21-0 at half. And then we just kind of cruised. We just didn't really try and let the foot off the gas pedal a little bit. But, we need to keep that momentum in. Our rushing attack ran for 299 yards. The only reason it was one less, we had it 300 yards, was because we took a knee, which took away 1 yard. So, we were at 300 yards exactly. So really good game rushing for us. Hopefully continuing to do the same going forward. But yeah, another great game from the Ravens that needs to go into the momentum sort of aspect. For our team, just don't listen to the noise. I mean, Dan Orlovsky is one of those guys that he really loves to hate on Lamar and really push his agenda towards Josh Allen. It's like, I'm pretty sure Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, as of right now, do not care about the MVP award. They are playing each other. Yes, it's a spectacle, but they want to win because they win. They face probably the team that has taken them out all the time in the Chiefs. This Baltimore team is foaming at the mouth. The Bills team is foaming at the mouth because they want to be in the Super Bowl. Neither one of these teams have been in the Super Bowl in a while. I mean, Bills longer than the Ravens, but still a long time for both. We need to show up as a Ravens team. But that is it for this week's games, the wild card games. Now we're going to go on to the divisional round, and we'll talk more about it. So first game on the docket is the Texans versus the Chiefs. Look, the Chiefs have had 24 days off. Maybe they're in a little bit of a slump coming out, and the Texans put it to them. That's very unlikely, and is very certain that it will be unlikely. But I think the Chiefs will win here, which sucks because it's like we needed them to have a good team. We need them to have somebody that can actually put up a fight. And the Texans are not the team to do it. So, Commanders in Detroit. Commanders could be sneaky, but I think Detroit will handle their business here. Rams and Eagles. That's a tough game. Eagles did not play good offensively. Rams played really good defensively. Rams offense is clicking. The Eagles defense is doing okay. They had Jordan Love taking 3 interceptions. So what do you do? I don't know. I would like the Rams to win, but just because if Detroit wins, I'd love the Rams to win because then it would be the Rams versus Detroit. So it's Stafford versus his old team, which would be awesome. But I think the Eagles will win. Could be close, could be a blowout. It's tough to say with both those teams. Now on to the game of the week, which is the Baltimore Ravens and the Buffalo Bills. Now it's supposed to be 21 degrees, which is nice because if we play, all right, let's talk about it here. Let's go to GameCast because I want to evaluate this game a little more because I mean all the other games pretty much should be pretty cut and dry. But yeah, I don't like Dan Orlovsky anymore. He's kind of an ass. Let me just check. Zay Flowers is being here. Because yeah, we need Zay Flowers. We need to be healthy. Um, yes, we won last game, but it's the whole thing of we need to pull up here. So these don't really help with stats. So these things will help with stats a little more, but I guess not. So sorry about that. But look, if it's our running attack versus their running attack, we're gonna win. We have the better run team. The pass team, you can go either or. It just depends on what we're talking here. Yes, everyone's going to bring up. We did win against the Bills, 35-10. It was at home and it was week 4. Our team has changed. Their team has changed. We are at their den. They are 8-0 there. So for us, we need to lock it down. We need to take it early. Force them to pass. I don't like how hostile it's been between Baltimore Ravens fans and Bills fans. I think it's just because of the MVP, and then now us playing against each other, we're just going to go at each other. But you know, both teams are really good and respected teams. I wish it didn't have to be the Ravens versus the Bills because I would have rather wanted to face the Bills in the AFC Championship game because it's like either my team's going or the Bills, who are also deserving, get to go. Versus whoever wins this has to probably go face the Chiefs, and everyone's rooting for the team that's not the Chiefs. So it is tough. Baltimore's favored by 1. The 1 does not matter. It should be even. It really is. This is a toss-up game. It's whose offense comes out better and whose defense steps up. Josh Allen has been here. Lamar Jackson's been here. They've heard all the noise about how both of the quarterbacks can't do it. Both the quarterbacks can't do it in the playoffs. Well, guess what? It doesn't matter who you're taking at quarterback. It's team. Which team wins? Which team plays harder? Which defense steps up? Which rushing attack steps? Which passing game steps up? Which kicker steps up? This could be a kickoff, you know? So, not really going into which team is better on which facet because guess what? It's 0-0. Nothing of what you've done in the regular season matters anymore. You play your brand of ball and see if you can beat them. And we'll see. I mean, it's going to be a great game. Will I have fingernails after this game? Probably not. Because, yeah, I'm nervous, as anyone would be. That's just how it is. But again, I am not. I say I'm more confident in the Ravens against the Bills than the Steelers. That's just because the Steelers have played us 2 times, and they always normally play us pretty close. And I don't want it to sound like I'm confident or very cocky that we can beat the Bills. I'm not. It's just the fact that we don't see them as often as we see the Steelers, and the Steelers have had our number for years. So that's why getting over that hump against the Steelers makes it a little bit more relaxing. The Bills are going to be the hardest team we play in this playoff, besides if we make it to the Super Bowl. It depends who's in the Super Bowl. I can't fully say, like, from a playoff aspect of knowing what happens if you go all the way. The Bills are going to be the hardest team to face. The Chiefs are not a very tough team. You just have to play 2 facets of the game of them, the refs, versus you. It's 2-on-1. Texans, if they make it, awesome. Whoever wins our game is going to the Super Bowl. So, the Bills are that tough team, and whoever we face the Super Bowl, we'll see if I'm as worried as them as the Bills. But to go through the trenches the way we have is just amazing. I'm very proud of this team, but I know that for us, it's Super Bowl or bust. It's not that crazy, but at the same time, it really is because of how the season has gone for both our offense and how flip of a switch our defense has become. It's been amazing. Like I was like, we're not gonna go very far if the defense doesn't switch it up, and we really have. So very excited to see what our defense does against Josh Allen. Hopefully, we can contain him and win the game. So, but it's gonna be a fun one. Bills fans, if you're listening, probably not. Good luck on Sunday. Wish you guys all the best. We'll see the best team win, and whoever wins this game against us needs to win. Whoever wins this game deserves to be in the Super Bowl, and it needs to happen. So, one way or another, either the Bills or the Ravens are going to the Super Bowl. And I'm not saying that as a guarantee. I'm saying that as we need it to happen. Texans don't deserve it, and Chiefs don't deserve it. So we shall see on that. I want to thank you guys all for listening. That is it for the playoff division round predictions as well as the wild card recap. A lot of interesting stuff is going around the league, but we'll talk more about that once the playoffs are over and done with. Unless there's something so crazy, unpredicted to happen there. But again, my podcast will be live Wednesday at 12. Episode every week. I'll make sure to post something on my Instagram page to let you know the episode is up. Remember, my podcast will be available on Spotify, Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Make sure to like and subscribe, whatever platform you prefer. Ask me any questions you want about any team or anything you want to address football-wise. More than happy to talk about it. Also, all the music and sound is provided by my brother-in-law, Justin. So, Justin, thank you for that. Well, Ravens Nation, thanks for joining me on this episode. Until next time, stay fierce, stay loyal, and keep rooting for that purple and black. I'll see you next time on The Ravens Call.